Hi, it's Ashley from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome to Fail Friday, the series in which I fix your baking fail, my baking fail, or I tell you how to avoid a fail. And today is nothing fancy. We're going back to the basics of crumb coating your cakes. I am very surprised that I have not made a video specifically dedicated to this. So first off, I make a mistake right off the bat. I forgot to put the sugar syrup on that first layer, but have no fear, I just end up adding a little bit more to each layer. What this sugar syrup does is it actually keeps that cake super moist. So if you're making a super elaborate cake a few days in advance, adding that will prevent your cake from drying out. Now this is going to be a double barrel cake or an extra tall 6-inch cake, so I am adding some supports in here as well. If you're just making a regular cake that does not have to be extra tall, you do not need to do this part. I do make sure to also put a dowel in this as well so that nothing is going to fall over, and if this hits a bump or something like that on the road while it's being transported, nothing is going to fall apart. Now for this particular cake, I'm just showing you how to fill this with buttercream. And buttercream filling is really easy when you're crumb coating. There's really no way to actually mess this up. The biggest thing is to make sure that you're keeping your layers nice and straight, and the way that you do that is you hold your spatula in place and let your turntable do the work for you. What your crumb coat is doing is it's prepping your cake for any design technique that you're going to use. So you want to make sure that you get rid of any gaps whatsoever and make sure that every layer is sufficiently and evenly filled. Now this next cake is going to be filled a little bit differently. I am going to be using a filling, but many times we don't want that filling color to show on the outside of our cake. So instead, we're going to create a little bit of a dam with our buttercream. And in order to do this, I just put a coupler in there because oftentimes if I'm making a buttercream cake, I'm going to be using different tips. Now I want you to learn from my past fails. Now that little concept there looks pretty easy, but I have messed it up many times. And this usually happens because I don't make the dam tall enough. So do make sure that the dam is taller than however much filling you put in the middle. Also, one final tip, if you're experiencing a lot of slipping and sliding, put that in the fridge for a few minutes, approximately 10 to 15, and then finish crumb coating. It's going to save you the headache. Now, if you're using meringue-based buttercreams, you are going to want to refrigerate it just a little bit longer than that of American buttercreams. If you're decorating it like this, where you're adding on texturized buttercream or piped buttercream, I suggest you keep it in the fridge for at least 15 minutes with that crumb coat on there. It really doesn't need too much. Now for cakes where you're actually going to be covering that with more buttercream and making it smooth, I highly suggest you leave it in the fridge for at least 20 to 30 minutes. The longer, the better in this instance. And if you haven't done this a lot, you want to make sure that you utilize your fridge as much as possible. This is just going to help you because sometimes if you don't leave your crumb coat in the fridge long enough, it doesn't have a long enough time to set, and then when you swipe the buttercream to make it nice and smooth, sometimes you can end up picking a few crumbs up here and there. And finally, I highly suggest that you leave your crumb-coated cake in the fridge for at least an hour if you're going to cover it with fondant. I actually like to leave it overnight, especially if I'm using meringue-based buttercreams. I just find it so much easier to get a nice sharp edge. And remember, if you are using American buttercream, this is going to form a crust in the fridge. So you're going to need something like shortening in order to adhere any fondant to your cake. Meringue-based buttercreams will not form a crust, and even overnight, you're still going to be able to press that fondant in. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading weekly, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye!